Inspiration, motivation, appreciation, fun, need, passion, will, wish, wonder, and expectation. The balance, positivity and counterweight, hope and defeat. 100 thoughts for uplift and 100 that bring us back down. Why do we always dance around what we mean or feel or desire? Stand up to the bullies at school or work or in the family. Voice that which remains silent within us. The overwhelming explosion of raw emotion that deserves to be released, but that which remains imprisoned within us. Why? Take time out. Be alone. Welcome the alone time. But not with social media or a book or your mobile Netflix account. Go for a walk. Alone. Sit in a cafe. Alone. Think, feel, observe, and identify. What do I want? We should ask ourselves, what do I like? Feel the same smile when you remember what made you happy. Once achieved, this should be our target. In essence and in words, these thoughts are what Tanja reflects on in this latest podcast with her. It's not through design or planning, but where the conversation naturally leads, and it is thrilling to join her on that journey, as always. And so for the last time in 2021, thank you, Tanja, for opening up. Tanja, it's so good to have you back. It almost, I can almost say, God, it's been such a long time, but this is our normal interval, isn't it? It's like 1 month apart.
Yeah, that's true. Hello, everyone. Hello, Zach. I'm happy to be back. The seventh time.
Yeah, I tell you, lucky for some, huh? Yeah.
I can't. If you would have told me in April, I wouldn't have believed it that we will do that many podcasts. It's great.
And well, the first 7 of many, many more, I hope. I mean,
yes.
2021 is at an end, but luckily life goes on. And I look forward to so many more wonderful topics and chats with you. I think, what was really, in many ways, something I have to touch on, because when we first sort of spoke, it was the interesting topic of sensuality, sexuality. And for me, that was like, wow, this is a real challenge. This is a real adventure for me to talk about a topic which a lot of people consider to be taboo. That was like, for me, a real dive into the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, and we could always talk about those topics, because I think there's so much that you can throw in there. But we've diversified so much, haven't we? It's not like we've stuck to one particular area, is it?
No, we didn't. No, we spread, which is amazing, which is great. I love diversity. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've said it many times. Beauty is in the diversity. Yeah, fantastic. So just quickly, how have you been, Tanja? What's kind of new with you?
I've been good. I mean, the last podcast we did was on a quite hard topic. It was only, I think, 3 weeks after my dad died. But it was a very, very nice, very good opportunity for me to share my thoughts and my feelings. And by the way, I got some feedback on that particular podcast where people were actually saying thank you for sharing those messages and those thoughts, and like thanking the two of us for having had this talk. That that was quite touching. Yeah.
I mean, you inspired a number of conversations also with some of my students. So that this topic came up, and we debated it. And yeah, as you said at the time, and we don't necessarily have to dwell on it, but it really is a topic that is undernourished. People don't talk about it enough. People do push it away, and there is a possibility of having a positive talk about how we feel it's best to, in a dignified manner, discuss how we choose to prepare our family for the inevitable.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be unprepared. It doesn't have to be a tragedy from start to finish. I mean, administratively, because it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and so from there on, the last couple of weeks, I've been doing fine. I've continued dancing at least until a week ago, because now we cannot dance anymore because of the rising COVID numbers and the regulations. And I was able to deep dive a bit more in my new job, which was and is interesting and exciting, getting to know new people, getting to know new responsibilities. Yeah. So, well, I've been doing fine. I'm kind of preparing myself for the end of the year. Like I'm a particular summer, sun and warm person. So starting with 30 degrees Celsius, that is like the temperature I'm like getting awake. That's like my comfort zone. Like so winter temperature is not that much my thing, but in the last couple of years, I started like I can't get enough of hot tea, hot chocolate, candles, incenses, particular kind of music, reflection, reviews, whatever. Like all these things. So cozy and cuddling, going to sauna, going to sport, going outside for a walk in the forest, meeting friends, that kind of stuff.
Okay. Wow. All right. So I think it's fair to say you know how to keep yourself busy.
Yes, I know. I think I learned how to do good to me. You say that? Yeah.
Well,
to
you just did. Yeah. To look after yourself, basically.
Yeah, to look after myself. Yeah, I didn't know much about that for quite a long time, but I learned. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I mean, those little sentences that I didn't for such a long time, and then inherent within that is a struggle, is a learning process, and then an achievement, a hurdle overcome, and then a target reached. So this is one of the many things which is so fascinating in talking to you, a sort of throwaway statement, and yet within that there's also quite a lot of history.
Yeah, there are a lot of bloody noses, like my nose got bloody in so I was falling down many times. That's what I wanted to say. So it was a hard learning sometimes. But I'm also a little bit proud of the things I was able and allowed myself to learn during the last year. So and I have the intention to continue. So let's see where this journey brings me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't wait to hear some of the destinations that you reach on the way. But it also, it's always the case that you say something which sort of naturally leads us into the main topic. And, we kind of talked about it a bit yesterday. And when I suggested it, you were like, yep, that's something that I've wanted to talk about anyway. So that's also quite funny how often that happens. But there's this on LinkedIn, Ted often throws in these wonderful quotations, which lots and lots, thousands of people like, and some people comment on, and so on. But this particular one, as much as I love and respect Ted and so many of the fantastic presentations that they've given, this one for me left a bit of a question mark. And so, I'd like to hear more of what your thoughts are on it. So just to read it, it's quite a short one. A person who feels appreciated will always do more than what is expected. So, listening to that, what are your sort of first reactions? And then after that, we can sort of jump into a bit more analysis.
Well, there are two reactions. The first reaction is like, yeah, that is right. And then the second reaction is that it sounds quite calculated and maybe also a bit manipulative. So it depends on which, who is using this quote with whom or against whom, who is addressing whom.
Yeah.
I think that appreciation is a key element of how we as human beings should treat each other. I mean, we all need appreciation because it gives us a confirmation, and it is something which there's this thing of self-worth. It is so easy to say each one of us should know about his or her self-worth, but we all, even the most conscious person and even a person who is very aware of his or her own self-worth has also bad days, and then to get the appreciation from outside is a nice thing. And even if you have a good day, appreciation from the outside is nice because it's, as I said before, it's a confirmation. I mean, and appreciation can have many faces. It can be the look of your partner, the hug of a friend, the smile of a stranger, a dog coming or an animal coming towards you, not being shy. It's like appreciation can have so many faces and facets. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's absolutely part of it. I mean, you also mentioned, I think you mentioned social media, but if you didn't, then the thought just occurred to me. But I mean, is this also not one of the reasons why social media took off in such a big way? It's because people were basically put in a situation where they could feel a sense of appreciation coming from others. I mean, you mentioned the word sort of confirmation. I mean, this is what we get, isn't it? When you send a message out on Facebook or to a friend, and then, oh, I miss you, I love you, I send you hugs, and then the friend sends you hugs back, and then somebody else sends you hugs as well. This is like a bit like that confirmation that you were talking about, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think, you have your audience is like English speaking, but you also have people who are listening to it in Germany. So maybe like for me, appreciation and confirmation would be the difference. In German would be appreciation is Anerkennung and confirmation is Bestätigung. So that is how I, as a non-native English speaker, would understand it. Do you understand it the same way? Because this would be like the very basis, no?
Yes. But I mean, Sorry, please.
No, and with regard to what you said with regard to social media, what you just mentioned is, I think social media is a lot about confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot about confirmation, but yeah, also about appreciation. Yeah.
I mean, because appreciation comes from the Latin to price, so
Yeah.
to give a value.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's perhaps loose, but it's still there. There is a strong link between receiving confirmation and feeling valued as a result of it.
Mm. Mm.
And I feel that's what social media gives in many ways, because it kind of makes us feel relevant. It makes us feel important. It makes us feel observed, recognized, and therefore valued.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it makes you feel seen, no? And I think, like, I mean, this is the I guess it's the base of getting confirmation and appreciation, because it gives us the feeling, or it can give us the feeling, that we are seen, that people see us, how we are, or how we want to be, or how we want others to see us,
Yeah.
or how, yeah.
I mean, we've also, I know we're slightly deviating from the quotation, which we will come back to.
We come back to it, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, over the last 20, 25 years, what we've seen is a gradual opening in many ways to society. So people have become, or society has become, more open, more accepting towards greater variations of diversity within society. Not every element of society, of course, but in general, thankfully. But do you remember in the 1990s, there was like a platform online called Second Life? And essentially, this was very popular at the time because it allowed people who perhaps felt unfulfilled in their real lives to then venture onto this second life, this alternative life. And they could be anybody they wanted to. And within that realm, sometimes they felt appreciated. What I'm trying to say is, do you think that a part of the message of what perhaps people like yourself and I have tried in some ways to promote is that if you feel as a person that you have so much to offer in an avatar of yourself, should we not take confidence from that and simply put that also into our real life profile? As you said before many times, if you like something, do it. If you have a passion for something, pursue it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% with you. There's only a little tiny little challenge. It's fucking hard to do that. Like, I mean, excuse my French. I said it on purposely like that. But and it is, yeah, I know I'm saying this because I think we have to stress and repeat and repeat and repeat all over again, because it is so hard. It is so easy to say, if you have a passion for something, follow it. If you want something, go for it. But it is so hard sometimes, and it takes sometimes it takes a lot of work to even do the first step in this direction. So I can perfectly understand why a person would, I mean, I actually don't know this Second Life thing, but I imagine it's like a role play or something like that. And it is not easy to show yourself, because it gives you sometimes the feeling of get stripped naked. I mean, and to show yourself has a very many dimensions. I mean, for I have friends, they would never ever go and sit alone in a coffee bar and enjoy coffee, because it's the pure horror for them to imagine to sit alone in a coffee bar. You know, it's like I mean, the reasoning behind it is like, what could other people think? But I'm all alone here, you know, so I don't have any friends. I don't have, you know, and then you have others. For them, it's like very natural to do this, or it's even they really crave for it. Like, oh my God, I would dream about having half an hour on my own in a coffee bar, you know, and so. Yeah, there are so many layers. I think there are so many layers to it. I think the first step is to decide, like consciously, I want to show myself. And then it depends on which way. Do you want to show yourself in your job, in your hobby, with your family, with other people, with your thoughts, with your emotions? Yeah, I mean.
Consider, for example, you're doing your job, and you're very good at your job, and your boss says, "Well done." But then within your job, there's also, let's say, a creative element, or at least a possibility for you to introduce a creative element. But you are a little bit shy because that puts everybody's focus on you. But I mean, can you compare, for example, the feeling somebody would have for getting a well done, a pat on the back from doing a normal task within your job, and the appreciation you would feel, or how you would feel for being appreciated for contributing something that you were really passionate about?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that more or less double or triple the sensation?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like the only thing is that, like, I really believe that we are not programmed like that, because in this case, the person, or in your example, let it be me. Like, I would panic and think all the time. That's the thing. That the difference is of thinking positive, thinking negative. Like, which scenario are you feeding? Which wolf are you feeding? You know, the positive one or the negative one. Like, a person who thinks in the way you just described it, you know, and thinks on the gain and on the reward, would definitely go and fill this creative aspect. But a person who thinks mostly within the frame of a negative scenario would think like, oh my God, no, I'm definitely not going to embarrass myself, that the stakes are too high, so that the risk is too high. And I think this is the obstacle many of us are facing, that it's the price tag that comes with it, you know.
Yeah.
And we all have that. Like, I mean, I have I don't know, issues, thoughts, where it's for me easy to get stuck in the positive scenario, and, you know, off you go, you know, you just go for the risk. And then you have other things where it's like, oh no, better not at this stage. Yeah, maybe when I feel different, maybe in 5 years, maybe if this and that and that. But if we start thinking like that, then again we make ourselves dependent on the outside. You know, like in the case you were in your example, you know, the person could say like, yeah, the creative aspect, it's great, but maybe I'm not good enough. So yeah, maybe in 2 years. You know, and then you are postponing it, and you are actually postponing yourself.
Yeah, well, you may even be cancelling it, because who knows if the same opportunity would arise into you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the example I gave is not too sort of dissimilar to things that I've sort of experienced myself in the past. And there have been many occasions when I just sort of thought to myself, to hell with it, just say it and do it. But there have been equally numerous occasions when I've said to myself, yeah, but if I put myself forward, I'm almost like showing off, aren't I? I'm like saying, yeah, look, I can do this, I can do that, blah, 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 and you guys can't. But that's the wrong way of looking at it as well, isn't it? Because you want to contribute, but you're sort of saying contributing positively can be perceived negatively.
Yeah, that could also be, yeah.
One of the examples I guess we could also bring around, and normally at this sort of seasonal period, people get office parties going or parties. Okay, it's not going to happen again this year because of the COVID cases that you referred to earlier. But around these kinds of times, people could contribute acts like singing or poetry recitals or telling a story and so on. And if I'm organizing this kind of event, I would love for people to say, yeah, I'll do this, yeah, I'll do that. And really secretively, I think in every group, there are people who say, oh, I really want to do that, but I'm too shy to do it. And, with me, when I was sort of younger, like much younger, I was always too shy. But then eventually I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to do it. And then I kind of developed this reputation where everybody knew that my name was on the list for something, because I'm either going to sing or recite something or somehow make a fool of myself, because that's just basically what I ended up doing. And it was fun, But I mean, how would you do it? Or how would you recommend to people, the ladies that you speak with, for example, because you've often said you would much rather have the balls to ask somebody to dance and be said no to, rather than thereafter think back to yourself and say, why didn't I ask him or her to dance?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? That's kind of, I want to sort of come back to that, what you've always sort of traditionally said, which is, carpe diem, go for it, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but I think one really it is interesting that you came up now with the example of dancing, because I was actually, when you were talking now, I was thinking of, I mean, if I would have a Christmas party with my colleagues, and somebody would ask me, could you, I don't know, go on the dance floor and dance? I don't know if I would do that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if there would be somebody like to ask me, would you like to dance with me? Okay, yes, maybe. and here's the why. Because for me, this is really a mixing of my private life and my work life. And I actually don't know if I want that. If I go out and if I can be a passionate singer, dancer, theater player, designer, drawer, like artist, whatever. But in my opinion, it depends also always on the environment where you are, where you feel good. I mean, if I go out for a social, or if I'm at a party, in a private party, then I dance. There's no question. But if I go out, or if I have and then it depends again, like in my case, for example, I just started a new job. I have all new colleagues. I think I would be a bit more reserved or shy, like if you are in a team since 2 years, 5 years, you had many adventures together, like you succeeded together and you failed together, and you have also some friendships within the team. That's a whole different story, Yeah.
I have a feeling you're a lot braver than you're admitting at the moment, because if somebody in your team, let's say you really did have a Christmas party and somebody in your team says, Tanja, I've heard a rumor, you are a bachata dancer. Would you do a dance for us as one of the entertainment elements of our festive show? I have a feeling you'd say yeah.
No, I'm actually. Yeah, no, but what you don't see is like I'm I'm shaking my hand on and on. I'm listening to you. No.
Really?
Like no, yeah, no. If somebody during the party, somebody comes to me, female or male or whatever colleague is coming to me and asking me, would you like to dance? It's a whole different story, yes. But to, I don't know, prepare a performance, something like this, there, I'm still like, not, no.
Okay, let me
And then I have to tell you,
yeah.
then the regret thing doesn't kick in, because it's like, I mean, I don't have to dance everywhere and all the time, you know. I mean, the precondition is that I do it because I feel good and because I want it.
Mm.
And for me, it would be really, yeah, not the right place somehow. Like,
Okay.
if we talk like now, this month,
Mm.
after I just started, not.
Okay. Let me give you a different situation then, yeah, because I'm full of these at the moment. I might as well get them out, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
please.
right, so you're with your colleagues and you're in a nightclub and you're all dancing, and then a bachata song comes on, and one of your colleagues comes and asks you to dance, and then because you're so used to it, and your colleague also knows how to dance it too, there's a sort of a circle is created around you. As in, would you dance then, or would you feel, oh, I have to stop because I don't want to become the center of attention?
I think in that case, I can imagine to dance, yeah, because it's a whole different environment. Like with a circle or without a circle, I'd prefer without the circle. But but yeah, like in a nightclub, a social event, you go out, that is for dancing as well, and then somebody asks, yeah.
Okay.
Because then then for me the precondition or the frame in my mind is like, okay, this is where I'm going to dance, and then who is with me is a different story than going to a Christmas party or an official event, which is like 100% business. Yeah, for me, I think in these things I'm still a bit. I have a rather exclusive approach. Like this is my private life, and we keep that out of work, and keep work life out of my private life as much as possible. So.
Mm.
And I mean, of course, colleagues they know about me driving motorcycles. I've been, for example, they've asked, like a very first meeting we had was like, somebody was asking me, I heard you are driving a motorbike. It was like, yes, we should go and have a tour together in summer. And I was like, yes, that is a different story,
Mm.
Maybe because dancing is a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Also for me. So yeah. You see, I gave that example of the motorcycling because it's also not like 100% that I wouldn't mix it at all. Like going for a motor ride with colleagues, I can perfectly imagine. Yeah.
Mm. But is it also because when you're riding your motorbike, the focus is on the motorbike, the focus is on the activity. Whereas when you are dancing, especially something as sensual as bachata, it's not simply the dance, but it's your interpretation and presentation.
Yeah, you
Of
show a
that.
lot. Yeah, you show a lot. You show yourself, and that is where we can close the cycle again. We just started before. It's like you make yourself to be seen, and I simply don't want and don't need people with whom I have a professional relationship to see like all of me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those ones, like my friends, when I go out, and those ones I dance with, they don't see me in my work life either, I mean, and I think that is quite healthy.
Mm. Yeah, this separation of the different elements of your life.
Yeah. Like I don't need it like as sharp as possible and 100%, but I think it is good if the lines are not too blurred. It's good simply also for your work-life balance. Like.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a really an interesting topic in itself, work-life balance. But also what you said before, the two, because I think this would be one of the few things that we would perhaps not necessarily disagree with, but definitely have a very different perspective on. Because almost for me, I kind of feel as though there is no professional self without the personal self. And
I
so
agree.
therefore, yeah, so for me, the kind of the mixture of the two is almost automatic. Even though I know what you mean when you say it, because acting professionally and so on, and but this term professional, and I feel has been bastardized so much over the years. I mean, what is professional? Because when I read about some of the behavior of senior executives towards some of their sort of feminine or, shall we say, less forceful employees, the term professional doesn't even figure, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So this is kind of why I tend to say, I'm not so sure that there is such a big line between personal and professional.
Maybe I'm with you there. You can't get you can't get the professional Tanya without the private, like the personal Tanya, and everything I do on the personal level has an impact on my work life and vice versa. But I learned, and I learned the hard way that I want to keep some parts of me for myself, or I don't want to share. Just I can choose what I show. I can choose how much I show. Yeah. And I think that is with everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think people who are 100% transparent are either faking it, or I think have to reassess their approach to life. I definitely think what you're saying is correct, because it's always important in every relationship to have an element of mystery, to not know everything about the other. I think that adds to the adventure and excitement.
Yes, I'd agree.
But also so the work-life balancing, because this is also a topic of, I mean, we haven't forgotten the appreciation quotation from earlier, yeah. But I mean, the work-life balance topic is also something that we've touched on in different ways before. We've spoken about meditation, we've spoken about mindfulness, having a proper awareness of where we are. Work-life balance, though, some people think that means, go to work for 8 hours, sleep 8 hours, and you have 8 hours to yourself. But that's not quite as simple as that. From my understanding, which is quite basic, work-life balance actually means that you vary the various activities of your life to satisfy certain physical, mental, and cultural needs. Without which your life would perhaps feel out of balance. Is that partially what it is, or would you go further?
I would, for me, work-life balance is actually to take care of myself, and every person needs different things for that. Like, I mean, I've been working in teams, I've been leading teams, and there's no work-life balance like the other. You like everybody of us needs different things. You have for me, like work balance is already you have early birds and you have the not so early birds. I'm one of those not so early birds. So you will, if it's not an emergency, you will not find me 7 a.m. in the morning in the office or at the desk. That is rather the case in the evening. And then you have others, they love it because they are early birds, and for them the most productive hours are between 7 and 10, or between 7 and lunchtime, and then they stop at 3 and enjoy their day. So I think work-life balance is like in every mouth, and I think there are very many standardized approaches to work-life balance, which is also good. But at the end of the day, work-life balance for me is a whole different story than for you, because you need different things than I need. from the way, like from the characters we are, from the family status, from like everything, a 20-year-old needs something else than a 50-year-old. I don't know, like, yeah. And I think the most important thing for leaders, for bosses, is to give the room and to find a consensus for the different ways of work-life balance, so that you can work together as a team, but that everybody as an individual has some space for his or herself as well. And it's quite a balancing act.
I mean, I completely agree with you. My point was that within our sort of daily routines, we should, or perhaps even over a week or a month, we have to look to satisfy various elements. So obviously work and rest are in many cases fundamental, because obviously you need to pay for things and you need to rest to be able to do all the things that you need to do. But on top of that, there are the other interests. There's seeing friends, there's spending time with the partner, there's reading, there's engaging in culture, there's playing sport or other kind of physical exercise. There's there are all of these things, and if we don't address our needs, our individual needs, then our life is out of balance, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
It's hard though, isn't it? I mean, doesn't it also have a sort of big effect on actually understanding what our needs are?
Yeah, you have to understand yourself first. Yeah, that's the key. And that's also very hard sometimes. Like it takes, for some of us it takes time to understand, for others not. Others again never understand it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, do you have like any tips on because I mean you said before, you've bloodied your nose often, you've knocked yourself down, or you've been knocked down, and you've stood up again, and you spent a lot of time over the last few years identifying what you want, and you've put in the effort. From that, I mean, what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's at the beginning, where they decide, I need more from my life, but I don't know what I want? What advice could you give?
If it's still at this stage, I don't know what I want, then this is like the very early stage. I think maybe two things. Start spending time with yourself, like sit with yourself, go for a walk, go to a coffee bar on your own, and don't entertain yourself all the time by, it doesn't matter, newspaper, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, like social media, but like stay with you, and see what's happening. And then the other thing, the second thing would actually be is like, what do you like? What do you like? What do you love? When does your heartbeat get up? When does a smile come to your face? When doing what? Like, and then follow this path. And sometimes we have to dig a bit deeper. Sometimes we have to go even back to our teenage dreams, which I actually did. And you have to, take them out of the, I don't know, the last corner of your suitcase somewhere, and bring them to daylight. Yeah. And then the other thing is like, we have, I think, very many of us know actually what they need, but they are not saying it, they are not communicating it. And this is something for me which is also very important. Like, if you know what you need to say so. example. It took me a while, many years, to understand that in winter, for me, it's really hard to get out in the dark. So, for example, I like to go for my sports training, So if I do the 9 to 5, 9 to 6, whatsoever, so in winter, 5 p.m. it's dark, 6 p.m. it's dark. So when I do the normal hours like that, like we used to do earlier, like a couple of years ago, with the Kernarbeitszeit, I wouldn't know how to say that in English. Then it happens. Well, yeah. So take it.
Is this your core working hours? Is that?
The core working hours. Like this 9 to 5. Yeah. Yeah. So for me it was very hard, and then sometimes I skipped training, and then I got angry on myself because I know it's good for me when I had all the day I engaged my brain and I was sitting there to like use my body and move my body. So nowadays I know this. So and nowadays, thank God, we have also more flexibility, greater flexibility in working hours. So in winter, what I'm doing is I go or in the morning to do my sport, so that I'm not starting at 9, but maybe starting at 10, if there is not an important meeting, for example, so, or I use my lunch break. So I do a longer lunch break. I am out. I go for training. I come back and then I work later in the evening, because if it's dark and cold and rainy and shitty outside, if I work until 5, 6, 7, or 8, for me, sometimes it doesn't make a difference if I know that I did already what I wanted to do and what is good for me and what relieves the stress and what relaxes me. Know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and you do need, as you sort of suggested earlier, you need to push yourself sometimes, don't you? Because some days you wake up and you think, I can't be bothered, but you get a routine and stick with it.
Yeah. And then also communicate, say what you need. I mean, and we are so, each one of us, we are so different from each other. We need so many different things. And it is always possible to find a bottom line, a consensus, even in a team, then maybe within a team you say like, okay, so our team internal core working hours are between 11 and 3, so we need all to be there, and if you have a project, or I don't know, there's like, we have so many opportunities nowadays, and I think we still don't use all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, again, whenever the word opportunity comes around, I always think about what you said before, grab it, seize that opportunity, because I think it's too many. If you miss one opportunity, then you're kind of going to miss another one and then another one, and no opportunity should be allowed to be let go, where possible. Of course, it's easier said than done.
Yes, but I have to say, Zach, that what should not happen is like, if we don't use an opportunity to like leash ourselves, like, okay, I decided to not take this opportunity, fine, understood, check, it's past, and not to hang on to it, and then because that is the difficult part of it. They're like, oh my God, and I should have done, and then you weaken yourself with that, and you weaken the trust in yourself. We are human beings. We are also allowed not to take an opportunity. But if you have a tendency to not use opportunities, then it is good if you have a look at the why. Not to blame yourself, but to ask yourself, okay, why is it in this field that I'm taking a step back, then taking a step forward? Because there is a reason. So, but you need to understand the reason, then to be able to grab opportunities of this kind.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And as you say, don't make regrets, as it were, as in don't allow the regrets to dominate your future, but adapt and overcome.
Yeah.
All right. And look, I know we want to also move on to one of your quotations, but before we do, let's just quickly round up this TED one, because, as you observed yesterday when I presented it kind of to you initially, you also mentioned this, the second side of it. So we'll always do more than what is expected. And you had a very interesting thing to say about that bit too.
You mean the thing of that? It seems to me also highly manipulative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, because you were referring to it also in the work field,
Yeah.
like there is a fundamental difference of a profound and honest appreciation of somebody, or an instrumentalized appreciation. The first one is a gift without expectation, and that is actually what appreciation should be. If you ask me, the second one is a calculation, is a manipulation of the person, and I think this is happening a lot, and this part of, or this part of potential meaning of the quote is the part I don't like, and where I would say, like, we need to be, but we need to pay attention,
Yeah, I'm completely with you.
Because I really believe that there are people out there in the working field who have responsibilities for a team, for a project, for, I don't know, who use this like in a negative sense, like you give somebody, like if you have a colleague, somebody in your team, and you can see that this person really relies on appreciation, then is the worst thing you can do is to instrumentalize it, because then you're like giving this, but you are how do you link it with expectations, and you make this person guided by the outside and not by the inside, and I like to think of appreciation and confirmation as a gift. I mean, I decide if I give you confirmation for something, if I give you appreciation for something, and if I do so, I just give it away. I don't want anything back.
Yeah, which is essentially what a gift should be, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're going to say the second part, as it were, but you always do these fantastic quotations on a daily basis. Can you quick just give us a bit of a talk about why you do that?
Okay. Yeah. What you mean is that I have I'm posting quite regularly a status on WhatsApp. And why am I doing this? Because I find so many inspirational quotes or pictures, and it's a mixture. It's a mixture of, sometimes I see something and I just want to share it because I like it. Sometimes I find a quote which really mirrors what I am feeling, so I'm giving it out. Sometimes I want to remind people and myself. And actually, when I started, I don't even know, I can't recall when I started it. It became a kind of a communication with my friends and all the people I have in my address book. So and sometimes I get answers like, hey, you nailed it, or beautiful, or whatever. And so it's nice, or you just get a sign, a heart or a smile or whatever, and it's nice. I mean, yeah. But actually, I just do it because I want to share it. So even if I won't get any reaction, which also often happens, I do it.
Mm.
And
Please.
No, I just want to say that I actually also this year I did some posts, also very personal one. When my father died, for example, or I think earlier this year I found old pictures of my mom and me when I was a baby girl, and I really liked the picture. It was so 70s style, so I posted it. So and I was also there like, I am showing too much of myself, but I liked it and I wanted to share it, and I did it, and surprise, surprise, nothing bad happened.
Yeah, I mean, so many times I see your status updates, and I think they're always a certain meaning behind them, or there could be perhaps a principle or an ethic or a moral, but I mean less from as a moralistic perspective, but it's more like inspirational. It's more like encouraging or empowering, what I find. But there's sometimes you also have something which I read and I think, that's really funny.
Yeah. I have that's it's not all like really serious shit and all about I don't know how, I don't know. No, I have also very 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 funny posts. Sometimes I find things they really make me laugh out loud, and then I want to share the laughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also know that, I mean, those quotes, they always show only one side. I mean, you just brought up at the beginning of the podcast a quote, I mean, and we could talk about that quote for hours, so I am pretty much aware that there are many different sides to each quote, but and sometimes I also have then discussions when I meet friends. I was like, they are saying like, you had a quote last week. I just wanted to tell you that I think in this and this and that way, and this is beautiful because then you start a conversation about that, and it's like, yeah. I know there are many aspects to it, and sometimes I also like to tease, to trigger, and yeah. But I'm happy to hear that you like them.
Yeah, they're brilliant. I mean, to be honest, I don't respond to all of them because otherwise I'd be messaging you every day. So that's
don't need to.
Yeah. But there are definitely a few that sort of jump up at me depending on my mood, and so on those occasions I've responded. But I do find it very entertaining. Yeah, you had hoped to do a sensual talk in Berlin. Now, obviously, for clear reasons, that hasn't happened. So 2022 is the magic year for Berlin's first sensual talk.
Yeah.
But you've got one next week. Is that correct?
This week, Friday.
This week, yes. Sorry, yeah, this Friday. Yeah, indeed.
This Friday.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
How's the planning for that looking?
Great. I will do an amazing sweet potato carrot soup. And we will have, of course, some bubbles. And I have already some ladies who said that they'd love to come. And I'm looking very much forward because it's going to be the last time, obviously, at the end of the year for 2021. And I'm really happy to get in touch again with some of the ladies, and and about Berlin, I mean, it was on my list last year, it was on my list this year, it will be on my list for next year. And let's see how it goes next year, but it would be great. It would be great to do. For next year, I would wish to have the Sensual Talk again on a more regular base than now this year due to COVID, and also at in some other cities, like Berlin, for example. Yeah, that'd be great.
Mm. And and you just mentioned on your annual list, and just before we started recording, you mentioned your review of 2021. So obviously, I think you've only just started it, so it's not perhaps fair to ask you to read out this entire document. But I mean, a couple of highlights. What would you sort of pick out really for you for 2021?
Oh, there are many different things. Like from I got my old lady. I bought the bike. Which is not buying the bike, but fulfilling a teenage dream. Being able to dance the entire summer, to have amazing trips with friends of mine. To have I'm so grateful for all the amazing people I got to know and I had this year in my life. I'm very happy that I'm healthy, that I did so many trips by bike and by car, and I'm still here in one piece and healthy, and that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's such a my lovely apartment, like there are so many different things. I'm grateful for this year. And that's true. I started the review of this year because I think it's always good to have a closure before you open up for something new. And I'm doing this since a couple of years now, and for me this is nice. And as this year had some really some challenges, some very particular challenges. I don't want to sideline them, but I don't want them to take the major part of what what life had for me this year. Because again, we human beings have the tendency to see the negative and the bad much easier, more easily and stronger. And so I try to, as I said, not to sideline it, not to forget about it, but I want to see both the good and the challenging things. And I try to be thankful and grateful for all experiences, which is with some experiences it's easier, with others not so easy. So
understandable. Well, I mean, you definitely rate as a highlight in my 2021 year.
Oh, and the podcast! Oh my God!
Yeah, I thought I'd better say that, otherwise you'd forget it completely. I mean, my word,
No, I mean, actually, I wanted to say it also at the end. I think we are at the end. No, that this journey. I'm saying this journey of ours this year with the podcast for me was amazing. If somebody would have told me in March, April that I would do 7 podcasts with you and that I would so highly enjoy it, because talking about the topic, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone with the podcast. It's it's getting easier and easier, and I'm having more fun. But particularly the first 1 or 2 podcasts we did, I was like, oh my God, do I really want this? And then it's online and people can actually listen to it. And then after I think the 3rd or the 4th podcast we did, I was like, okay, you did that. So then you can also have the guts to share it. And then I put the link also on my Facebook profile, and I mean there are really people listening to it.
What a shock!
No, and I mean this was amazing. For me, I have this in my mind since a couple of years to do a podcast on my own, and this year I just. In your person, the chance, the opportunity just came to me I was like, okay, yeah, I can also do it in this way. So yeah, let's do that. Amazing. And I really, really hope, and I'm really looking forward for next year and to do some more hot stuff.
Absolutely, many. Yeah, and let's jump into all the topics, let's challenge one another.
Yeah.
In as many ways as possible. Tanja, I joked a bit, but really, it's been brilliant sharing these hours with you, listening to your extremely emotional, inspirational, unique words. Every podcast has been an adventure. I think it's as much as we plan, but sometimes when we come together, we really don't know where we're going to end up.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's brilliant. Thank you. What can I say? Thank you. It's just brilliant.
Thanks to you, and I thumbs up that you had this idea at the beginning of the year. I mean, I also listened to some of your other podcasts. I think it's amazing. Please continue. Not only to talk to me, but in general. I'm really curious what podcasts are there to come next year. Yeah, cool.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. All it remains for me to say, have a great time on Friday, and also, season's blessings. I hope you have a wonderful conclusion to the year, and obviously, I hope January the 1st shines very brightly upon you.
Yeah, hopefully. I wish the same to you and to your family and to everybody who is listening.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.